Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Moving Forward podcast. My name is Rabi, and I'm here with Andy Lamrock. Hello, Andy.
Hey, Rabi. Great to be back. I think we skipped a week, and so it's nice. How have you been?
Yes, we did. Yeah, I've been good. We skipped a week, you're right. And it's one of those things where we're trying to align two different schedules together of two people that are at some times get busy. So it didn't work last week, but we're back, and we're going to keep going with this. Now, today we have an interesting topic. It's more in your ballpark. It's about corporate sales, and I really wanted to get to know a little bit of. I had a number of questions that I wanted to ask you, and I thought, what a better way of doing it than on a podcast where everybody else can listen and learn as well. So,
Sure.
to begin, I think what I wanted to know is the difference between corporate sales and normal sales, if I might call it that. And for me personally, when I started working with you, I remember you invited me to a meeting with a client, and during that whole conversation, I was just sitting there listening, and it was very fascinating that you never mentioned a product, you never mentioned a price. The conversation in general was about how can we help your organization do better? How can I make your job easier? And that was really fascinating. So tell us a little bit about what do you think is the difference between, I think to begin, between corporate sales and the type of sales that we know commercially um, in different situations.
Yeah, sure. Look, you can go in many ways. At the end of the day, sales are sales, and there's only one thing that matters to all sales is that people buy from people. And so
Hmm.
the fundamental core of being in sales is because you love being with people and you love meeting people, you love learning, you have an inquisitive mind,
Hmm.
you're interested in, you know, going somewhere with somebody, right? It's a journey, and so as long as you have that, it doesn't matter whether it's B2B, B2C, um, or any of those other crazy acronyms. You've still got to have that passion,
Yeah.
right? And I think there are times when sales just simply calls for, here's my value proposition. This is how much it is a month. Would you like that service? Because a lot of customers are in a position today to be able to self-educate. In fact, the customer is more in tune and more knowledgeable about your own products and services than probably what you are. They
Mm.
really have this opportunity to research. So that means you don't need to sell them that. However, talk about products and service, that is. However, there are times when it is a straight transaction. It's an essential service. If you think about if you buy your electricity, gas, water, and these sorts of things, you do a little bit of research. It's a binary transaction, all right? And so, for those organisations who are trying to build value into those binary transactions,
Yeah.
it gravitates straight back to relationship. Are you engaged with the customer? Um, do your values transpire in some way to make them gravitate towards your company and where your company is going? Those sorts of things. So I think, long way of saying it. Sales is still people buying from people, and have that inquisitive mind, and you'll thrive.
And I think you mentioned a great point there is that the client in these kind of scenarios, a lot of time is highly educated about your product. And a lot of the people that will be making purchases from you in corporate sales are people who are not only qualified, but also their education is oriented about your product. That's why they're in the position they are to make the decision on that. And so, really, when you're doing sales in that situation, you're selling how good the company you're working for can provide that product. How good is you're selling the people that are going to be working with the customer, and you're selling the qualifications and the experience of the company, which is quite fascinating. Another thing you touched on is the relationship, and we know in corporate sales it's more of a long-term relationship. How what I'm interested in, how do you manage such relationships? Is it something where you try to keep it professional? Do you try to um, become closer and have a stronger relationship with the customers? How do you manage that?
Yeah, I think that's a super question, I guess it goes to the ethos of um, work and life balance that people talk about a lot. I just believe in one thing, a life balance, and whether I'm at home socializing or at work working, it's that balance. It's still life, right? And so, therefore, the way I look at my relationships with customers, I actually see it as a partnership, and a partnership
Mm,
has to be two way. And it's not just give, 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 or get. Right? It's two way. It's how do you actually um, if I can say this, politically correct, you need to hold hands with the customer and you need to go on the journey with them
mm,
and you need to challenge them. You need to, they partner with you because you're challenging them to think about their business. You're challenging them to take two steps forward rather than just the one step. Um, and so therefore, when you start doing that, there are times when those partnerships do become a bit more personal, and you
mm,
will find in your career that you might even create lifelong friendships through this, and that's perfectly okay. And then there'll be times where you don't, and so it's just about striking a balance that works. At the end of the day, it's still that customer interlock, that partnership,
mm.
and that's important. If a social um, benefit comes out of the side of it, friendship, family holidays, whatever it might be, that's great. That I think that's fantastic. We all have an opportunity to meet people.
Yeah.
Um, Work is just another vehicle for that.
And this is where sales is really great. Is the opportunity, the social opportunity to meet a lot of people and get to know them, learn about them, learn from them, um, which is really what attracted me to working in this field. Though at the same time, it is I work in a more technological sales field, which is also fascinating to be at the bleeding edge of technology and learning about that. Now, you did mention a little bit about the work-life balance. What
Hmm.
is it that someone should expect when entering a career in corporate sales? Do you think, maybe at the first couple of years, there might be the work-life balance is not going to be there because you're going to have to learn a lot, and then things might even out, or is it always a continuous learning experience where work is going to take over most of your life?
Yeah. So first of all, I don't think you should let work take over your life.
Mm,
That's just not healthy, right? But you should be able to find that life balance, and it's different for everybody. And it's different for everybody at different stages of their life as well. Our priorities change. We get married, we have children, um, all those sorts of things, or we decide that we're going to invest and take time out and work in a not-for-profit or do something
hmm
that's for meaningful purpose outside of work, etc. So we all have these different elements in our life that allow us to get that balance. So I'd say that first and foremost around those sorts of things. But when you get an opportunity to partner with somebody and you have that opportunity to do something really uh, truly wonderful with them, be it I don't know, the opportunity to change the world to be a better place, for example, is such a rare opportunity, right? But it's so big. If you get that opportunity, well, you get motivated and you chase it. For some people, they don't want to do that. They're just happy to do a sale, for example, and
Yeah,
just you know continue to have a great relationship and see incremental change and incremental benefit.
and those are
So I think it's up to the person to find that.
Yeah, and that's really the difference here is that you have different people trying to do the work differently. So there are other people, and we know a lot of people like this where we work, where they just want to do the job, go home, and we notice corporates are kind of changing in the way that they are emphasizing and trying to help their employees more in the sense that you and I work for a company that encourages volunteering, and that is really a
Mhm.
part where you're not really doing work, you're doing something for your personal life that is that's supported and somewhat related to your job. And it's really fascinating to see that corporates at the same time are encouraging um, taking time off for your mental health. We have a lot of programs to support employees' mental health, and uh, just trying and also learning. A lot of programs to encourage employee learning and personal development. So this shift, even in markets, to understanding the importance of work-life balance is becoming part of corporations and the management, and it's moving in the right direction, in my opinion, unless you just want to do your job and be left alone.
Yeah, I, I think I might add to that in terms of I think as we go deeper and deeper into the fourth industrial revolution
Mm,
and things become more you know, complete end-to-end digital, and we're actually seeing the economies of scale associated with that, and the power of that to create change, uplift, be it meaningful or not, it is quite amazing. And so I guess the opportunities in the digital era now, what I'm seeing is there is a strong pivot to partnership, deeper partnership, more meaningful partnership.
yeah,
Customers, teaming up together, not just to do a supply contract, but to do a supply and a leverage to create new market, to respond to a new market that's evolving, and they evolve very quickly these days.
yeah,
And so therefore, I think from a corporate selling perspective, that old runway of spend a couple of years getting to know somebody, breaking into an account, positioning a set of solutions, getting a 3 or 5 year contract, is pivoting and changing really quickly.
mm,
So if I'm a big organization, for example, I could go to my suppliers and partner with them to reach new markets or reach a customer base I can't touch before. But because they supply me, why can't they also be a conduit for access to market and things like that?
mm,
So I think in the digital space, though, that's been accelerated, which means if you're making decisions about critical infrastructure and all those sorts of things today, um, and you're not taking those 2 steps forward,
mm,
then by the time that traditional contract would finish, you could be dead and gone.
mm.
So in sales, it is in this corporate environment that's moving so fast. It is our responsibility to make sure our customers understand that the future is now. It's the doorstep is here. It's knocking on the door. It's not 3 years away. Okay, so there is a pivot there as well, and that makes it a little bit more complex. And it means that you need better, stronger partnerships, better, deeper relationships. The notion, as I said at the beginning, people buy from people, has never been so important.
Great insight. And this really brings us to the end of this episode, Andy. Thank you very much for joining me this week. This was episode 21 of the Moving Forward podcast. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Have a great day.
Thanks, Rabi.